Hi folks, I'm Devok and welcome to the Artificers Guild, the home of all things Artifact. We've just had Artifact's first livestream tournament, but it wasn't the huge success we thought it might be. In fact, it drew attention to a very real concern. Is Artifact too hard to play or even learn? When Artifact was announced at TI7, well over a year ago now, it was to a crowd of Dota 2 fans excited by the prospect of Valve building on a game they loved so much. When Artifact was revealed to be a Dota 2 card game, the immediate reaction by those fans attending, and Valve fans across the globe, was not one of joyous celebration. The biggest complaint at the time, other than it not being Half-Life 3 of course, was people questioning why Valve were jumping on the CCG bandwagon. Milking money out of something Blizzard's Hearthstone has slowly been losing traction with anyway. Since then, it's become crystal clear that what Valve has developed is about as far away from Hearthstone as it is from playing hopscotch in the school playground. Artifact is a trading card game, appealing more to the fans of the complex chess game that is Magic the Gathering than the fans of Hearthstone, which is to be expected with Richard Garfield, creator of Magic the Gathering, at the helm of the Artifact project. So Artifact isn't the Hearthstone clone people originally thought it might be. But for a time now, the greatest concern outside of the cost of the game has been how complicated it looks. As a prospective new player, you look at Artifact and think to yourself that there is no way you could possibly understand what's going on. The game is just too crazy with way too much going on at once. Of course, it is entirely expected of Valve to make a complex game. Their most recent big hits have been the likes of Portal, which, as well as being incredibly entertaining at its core, is a puzzle. And of course the immensely popular Dota 2, the game which I myself come from, and which at the time of its own release was hounded for being too complicated for your regular casual player. With games like that under their belt, especially Dota 2 which has obviously had quite an influence over Artifact, you would imagine the game is going to be difficult, at least to begin with, and to feel like you're having a good time with the game, you will first need to invest a decent amount of time to get good at it. Well, that strictly doesn't seem to be the case with Artifact. Broadly speaking, you will not be able to master it after watching or playing a couple of games. You won't master it after watching all of the videos on this channel, although it will certainly help and I certainly won't be complaining if you do. Artifact, however, is not difficult to learn. There are a lot of moving pieces, but you can learn them all after maybe just an hour or so of playing, or even watching. From there onwards, it becomes a grand strategy game, and you can compete only as well as your clever mind allows. The misconception that Artifact is a complex game is not one you should feel bad about for having though. Things certainly haven't been made easy for the prospective player. The entire debate was sparked of course by the recent Artifact preview tournament, which was streamed by the BTS Beyond the Summit Artifact team. Now before I dive into what went wrong and how it greatly affected this misconception, let me just proceed that by saying, as someone who does understand all of the moving parts that make up Artifact, their stream was entertaining and informative. I very much enjoyed having the pros perspective, especially through the drafts. So if you haven't seen those and you already know a fair amount about Artifact, go check out the VODs where we see pros such as Life Coach drafting. It'll definitely improve your draft game. And if you would like to try out some drafts yourself, go check out the drafting simulator over at artcraft.io. Links in the description, as they have recently improved their AI opponent who will be picking against you. So the stream from BTS was good for a relatively experienced player, and I can't wait to see more BTS coverage in future tournaments once the game has been released. However, the issue was, of the 20,000+ people watching, maybe only a couple of thousand of those knew what they were talking about. So what did the BTS stream do so wrong? Well, this is the first tournament that has attracted a large number of fans from other card games. There were a number of personalities such as Amaz and Forsen, who drove large crowds of their fans to watch the stream in the hope of catching their favourite player. However, these people, while they might have heard of Artifact, were not in a position to watch a professional analysis of the game. Even if they had watched the PAX tournament from a few months back, almost everything was still covered by a rather strict NDA at that point. So while we did hear about a lot of things at PAX, it certainly wouldn't give someone enough of an understanding about how the game worked to just jump straight into analysis of complex professional strategies. The only people who would understand that have been the dedicated fans who watch all of the YouTube videos, Twitch streams, and constantly refresh the Artifact subreddit looking for new information. These new potential fans of Artifact might as well have been listening to the game being streamed in Latin. So while the BTS crew were streaming games, commentating and analysing the intricate plays of these really good players, they would use some jargon or mention cards in passing that perhaps the larger viewer base had no idea about. This resulted in a large portion of people watching to just up and leave, which was sad to see because the team casting did try to fix this. Hotbid, after seeing the issues so many people were having regarding the very basics of the game, jumped into the cast himself and played the part of a brand new player who had no idea what was going on. Now, Hotbid is a pretty decent and experienced Artifact player himself, so he did this purely to benefit the newer players. Whenever the team mentioned something that a new player wouldn't understand, he would bring them back and question it. He would ask why that icon on the screen is flashing, or what the little square on the hero's card artwork means, and stress the importance of the mini-map in the top left corner for new players, as it shows a very basic way to see the entire state of all 3 lanes. This is just one of many reasons the BTS org is fantastic, but I'm afraid this time it was too little, too late. Artifact is not hard to learn though, folks. It just looks scary, and is very, very hard to master. It's like picking up a guitar. Anyone can learn how to play Wonderwall in about 10 minutes. But just because they can't figure out how to shred like some heavy metal guitarist, they don't completely stop playing. Neither do players of musical instruments complain that there is no progression system, where they're rewarded with a new guitar every time they learn a new chord, but that vein of saltiness is for another video entirely. I honestly understand why a lot of people will turn away from Artifact. Just trying to watch the game as a new player, there is an awful lot going on at the same time. Many cards have flashing icons all over it, there are a lot of visual effects, not to mention the little imps. Yes, they're cute, but they don't actually provide anything in terms of the mechanics of the game, and are just one more distraction for a new player. But if you can push past how crazy the game looks, you will find yourself a game that is actually pretty easy to pick up, and feels so fulfilling when your enemy falls for your genius plans. So that covers it. Artifact is not a hard game, it just looks a bit scary, so don't fret. As always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoy the content, feel free to like and subscribe as it really helps the channel out. I've been Devok of the Artificers Guild, and I'll see you next time.